What if I told you that your biggest weakness isn't your skill? It isn't your intelligence, it's your noise, your endless reactions, your addiction to attention, your need to explain yourself. What if I told you that real power isn't seen, it's hidden, silent, unreadable, untouchable? The loud ones fight for attention, the silent ones collect power. Silence isn't emptiness, silence is strategy. Today, you're not here to be motivated, you're here to be reprogrammed, to weaponize your silence, to build yourself alone. Silence everything. Build yourself alone. Welcome to modern Stoicism, where weak emotions die and dangerous intelligence is installed. Here you're not inspired, you're trained. You're mentally re-engineered for inner warfare, frame control, and psychological dominance. If you're here, you're ready to upgrade your operating system. Let's begin. Section 1. The Art of Tactical Silence. What if I told you? The most dangerous man in any room isn't the one speaking. It's the one watching, the one calculating, the one who controls himself so completely that his silence becomes louder than words. You talk too much. That's why you leak power. Every unnecessary word you speak is a weakness exposed. Every emotion you reveal is a weapon handed to your opponent. Marcus Aurelius mastered this. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." When you speak unnecessarily, you surrender that power. Weak men explain themselves. Weak men overshare. Weak men react with words because they have no control over their emotions. And in doing so, they expose their strategies, their emotions, their intentions. The world doesn't need to know what you're thinking. They don't deserve access to your mind. Your silence must become your shield. You must install tactical silence, speak 80% less than you do now. If you feel emotional, say nothing. When challenged, pause before you respond. Use short, cold, surgical sentences when necessary. Let your silence pressure them into revealing themselves. The man who controls silence controls the frame. The man who speaks last often owns the room. Understand this. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is control. In dark psychology, this is called frame compression. When you hold silence long enough, people project their insecurities onto the space you leave. They fill the silence with their own fears. They start exposing themselves while you remain unreadable. Unreadable means unbreakable. I observe, I detach, I cut, I wait, I control, I own my mind. When you're silent, you give no target for attack. You reveal no weakness. You allow others to miscalculate. You force them to chase your approval. You sit in complete psychological command. This is how kings rule without shouting. This is how CEOs dominate boardrooms. This is how negotiators control billion-dollar deals. This is how assassins move through rooms unnoticed and lethal. Silence creates mystery. Mystery creates fear. Fear creates mistakes. Mistakes give you control. The modern world is addicted to noise, to posting, to sharing, to reacting instantly. But you are different now. You are reprogramming your operating system. From this point forward, you will speak less. You will listen more. You will pause before answering. You will control the frame with your presence, not your voice. Silence is your new weapon. Say it again. I observe. I detach. I cut. I wait. I control. I own my mind. This is your first law of modern Stoicism. Silence everything. Build yourself alone. Section 2. Emotional detachment. Cut before you feel. What if I told you your emotions are your enemy? Not because emotions are bad, but because uncontrolled emotions make you predictable, and predictable men are weak. The Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius warned, You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. The world will throw chaos at you daily. Emotional men react. Detached men observe. Emotional detachment is not about being cold-hearted. It's about never allowing feelings to dictate action. The moment you act from emotion, you've already lost. The opponent sees your reaction. The opponent reads your weakness. The opponent learns how to pull your strings. You feel anger? Observe it. Do not speak. You feel fear? Witness it. Do not retreat. You feel anxiety? Sit with it. Do not confess it. You feel insulted? Smile. Do not defend. You do not need to explain yourself to anyone. You owe no one access to your emotional state. I observe, I detach, I cut, I wait, I control, I own my mind. Detachment is your weapon. Detachment creates power gaps. When you detach, others become uncomfortable. They search for signs you refuse to give. They lose composure trying to provoke yours. When you remain unshaken, they self-destruct. Dark psychology calls this emotional voiding. You remove emotional availability. You remove access. People crave emotional feedback to feel in control. When you give none, they spin into uncertainty. Uncertainty breeds mistakes. A man who cannot control himself is easily controlled by others. But you now step into mastery. Your face will be unreadable, your tone flat, your decisions calculated. Tactical detachment means you cut emotions at the root before they grow. The moment anger rises, you command stillness. The moment fear rises, you analyze facts. The moment jealousy whispers, you refocus on your path. You act when necessary. You do not react when provoked. Reaction is surrender. Controlled action is dominance. Every day, your protocol is simple. Feel the emotion rise. Name it silently. Observe it without judgment. Cut its influence instantly. Choose cold logic. Execute the next best action. This is not natural for most. This is trained, but you are not most. You are being programmed for dangerous intelligence. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Emotions exaggerate. Facts simplify. Your duty is to slice through exaggeration and face reality as it is. When others cry, you calculate. When others panic, you plan. When others freeze, you move. When others crumble, you rise. Say it now. I observe. I detach. I cut. I wait. I control. I own my mind. This is emotional detachment. Cut before you feel. Control before you react. Build yourself alone. Section 3. Frame control. Own every room without speaking. What if I told you that the most dominant man in the room is rarely the loudest? He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't seek attention. He doesn't chase validation. He owns the frame silently. Frame control is the invisible battlefield where weak minds are exposed and dominant minds rise. The moment you walk into any room, two questions are unconsciously asked. Who leads here and who follows? The one who controls the frame decides the emotional temperature, the topics, the pace, and the outcome. Most people don't even realize frames exist. That's why they live under someone else's. Marcus Aurelius operated from internal sovereignty, the tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say, or think, or do. That is frame immunity. Unshakable, cold, self-governed. Frame is your invisible armor. It's not about forcing control. It's about radiating unmovable control over yourself. When you own yourself, you own the room. I observe. I detach. I cut. I wait. I control. I own my mind. The weak seek to control others. The strong control themselves and force others to adapt. Rule 1. Never compete for attention. Those who chase attention reveal low value. Your presence creates its own gravity. No over-talking, no nervous laughing, no unnecessary explanations, no begging for approval. Your eye contact is steady. Your posture commands space. Your movements are deliberate. Your energy says, I am here. You will adjust. Rule 2. Control your emotional baseline. Whoever moves first emotionally loses. If they get angry, you remain calm. If they become excited, you stay steady. If they seek validation, you give none. If they attack, you observe without flinching. Your lack of emotional fluctuation destabilizes others. They don't know where you stand. That uncertainty places you above them. Rule 3. Ask the questions. Set the tone. He who asks controls. He who reacts submits. By asking, you force them to reveal information while you remain in control. You never reveal your full hand. You give only what's necessary. You allow silence to work for you. Strategic pauses create tension. Tension forces others to fill the gap. In filling it, they expose themselves. Rule 4. Maintain frame regardless of outcome. Weak men break when challenged. They get defensive. They over-explain. They lower their standards to please. You hold your position. You do not chase agreement. You do not seek consensus. Your frame is, I need nothing. I control myself. You may align or you may leave. The strongest negotiators, the most powerful leaders, and the most dangerous minds all master this. Non-attachment to outcome. Because their value does not come from external validation, it comes from internal dominion. Seneca wrote, He who fears death will never do anything worth of a man who is alive. You fear no loss, no rejection, no criticism. That makes your frame unbreakable. Tactical exercises for frame control. Walk into rooms slowly. Speak slower than others. Maintain steady eye contact without intimidation. Speak last in high-pressure situations. Ask strategic questions. Let silence do the work. Never justify, never over-explain. When you master this, you'll watch others bend to your pace. They'll adjust their energy to match yours. Their frame will submit to yours. Say it again. I observe. I detach. I cut. I wait. I control. I own my mind. This is frame control. You do not announce it. You radiate it. Own every room. Without speaking. Section 4. Weaponize your absence. Power through distance. What if I told you? Your absence can create more power than your presence. Your silence speaks, but your absence screams. Weak men fear being forgotten. They flood the world with presence. Strong men understand. Sometimes, distance commands more attention than presence ever could. When you are always accessible, you lower your perceived value. When you're everywhere, you become ordinary. When you're constantly available, your worth depreciates. Scarcity triggers demand. Distance triggers obsession. I observe, I detach, I cut, I wait, I control, I own my mind. Marcus Aurelius mastered detachment from approval. It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. You don't need to be seen to have influence. You don't need to be heard to have impact. You create gravitational pull through strategic absence. Rule 1. Do not overexpose yourself. Limit your appearances. Speak less publicly. Move in silence. Operate unseen. When people cannot predict your movements, they become obsessed with your next step. Rule 2. Withdraw to strengthen your frame. Distance gives you space to recalibrate. Distance starves distractions. Distance allows you to sharpen strategy while others are drowning in noise. The crowd screams for constant validation. The ruler watches from above, calculating. When you disappear temporarily, you create psychological imbalance in others. They question your moves, your motives, your next strike. Rule 3. Absence triggers projection. In your absence, people project their own insecurities. They imagine your strength growing. They imagine your resources multiplying. They imagine you advancing beyond them. And they fear it. This is how kings dominate without engaging. They let others destroy themselves through imagination. Rule 4. Protect your emotional energy. Your absence is not passive. It is a protective layer around your emotional sovereignty. When you distance yourself, you detach from drama. You prevent emotional entanglements. You avoid unnecessary conflicts. You control your environment by controlling your proximity. Rule 5. Use absence to reset power dynamics. When someone disrespects your standards, distance yourself. When someone violates your boundaries, disappear. When someone takes you for granted, become invisible. Distance forces them to confront your absence. They feel the loss. They realize your weight. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." You don't explain why you distance yourself. You simply vanish. Let silence explain everything. Tactical exercises to weaponize absence. Randomly disappear from social interactions without explanation. Delay your responses intentionally. Skip unnecessary gatherings. Let them feel your silence when they expect noise. Withdraw from circles that drain your energy. When you master absence, you transform into a psychological ghost. They see you everywhere, even when you're not present. You haunt their thoughts. You occupy their mind space. They compete with the image they've built of you in your absence. This is dark psychology at its purest form. Say it again. I observe. I detach. I cut. I wait. I control. I own my mind. You are no longer addicted to being seen. You are no longer desperate for presence. You move when necessary. You withdraw when strategic. You build yourself alone, and through absence, your power expands. Silence everything. Build yourself alone. Section 5. Mental coldness. Train unbreakable emotional discipline. What if I told you? The strongest minds feel emotion, but do not submit to it. They feel everything, but reveal nothing. Mental coldness is not numbness, it's control. The weak explode when provoked. The strong remain calm while chaos unfolds. The cold mind sits in silence while others drown in noise. Marcus Aurelius ruled his empire while carrying personal grief, political betrayal, and relentless war. Yet his writings reveal a man frozen in clarity. You have power over your mind, not external events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Cold minds see reality as it is, without exaggeration. No wishful thinking, no self-pity, no panic, and only facts. Only action. I observe, I detach, I cut, I wait, I control, I own my mind. Mental coldness is emotional discipline at its highest level. It means you don't need to feel good to execute. It means you act whether you feel ready or not. It means your mission is not delayed by emotions. Most men live under emotional slavery. They delay because they're anxious. They quit because they're frustrated. They react because they're angry. They freeze because they're afraid. You won't. You observe fear, but do not freeze. You feel frustration, but do not stop. You feel insulted, but do not respond. You sense betrayal, but move strategically. You remain calm when others break. Your calmness becomes a weapon. Calm under pressure destabilizes your opponent. When they expect rage, you respond with stillness. When they expect emotion, you answer with calculation. When they expect defense, you remain silent. Their emotional escalation exposes them. Your cold stillness exposes their weakness. Tactical training for mental coldness. Slow your breathing when emotions rise. Delay your responses in heated moments. Journal your emotions to diffuse their power. Focus on facts, not feelings. Rehearse worst-case scenarios. Mentally neutralize fear in advance. Seneca warned, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Emotions exaggerate the threat. Your cold mind strips the illusion. You act on what exists, not what your emotions invent. This is how generals win wars. This is how CEOs navigate crisis. This is how assassins eliminate targets. This is how you will rule your world. Say it now. I observe, I detach, I cut, I wait, I control, I own my mind. Mental coldness is not natural. It is trained. But once installed, it makes you untouchable. You no longer react like the herd. You no longer crumble under pressure. You operate with surgical precision. You build yourself alone. Silence everything. Build yourself alone. Section 6. Strategic minimalism. Cut excess. Sharpen power. What if I told you most of your weakness comes from what you carry unnecessarily? Your obligations, your distractions, your possessions, your attachments. Excess weakens, simplicity sharpens. Strategic minimalism is not poverty. It's optimization. You don't remove for lack. You remove to increase focus, power, and control. The weak collect, the strong eliminate. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." You are not here to accumulate. You are here to dominate. Excess creates noise. Too many possessions demand attention. Too many people drain energy. Too many goals divide focus. Too many commitments dilute execution. I observe, I detach, I cut, I wait, I control, I own my mind. Minimalism is mental clarity. It's knowing exactly what you want and cutting everything else. Rule 1. Cut material excess. Own only what serves your mission. Every possession is a responsibility. Every object requires maintenance. Every want creates emotional attachment. Possess what strengthens you. Eliminate what distracts you. Rule 2. Cut informational excess. Most people are drowning in irrelevant data. Limit social media. Limit entertainment. Limit gossip and opinions. Consume only what builds skill, knowledge, and tactical advantage. You are not entertained. You are trained. Rule 3. Cut relational excess. Not everyone deserves access. Eliminate energy-draining people. Withdraw from complainers. Sever ties with those who disrespect your standards. Your circle must sharpen you, not soften you. Rule 4. Cut emotional excess. Emotions are tools, not rulers. Release grudges. Abandon victimhood. Kill self-pity. Hold only emotions that serve your growth. Discipline, gratitude, resilience. Rule 5. Cut mental excess. Overthinking is mental pollution. Simplify decisions. Focus on action over analysis. Trust your training. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Time is lost in excess. Power is built in simplicity. When you cut excess, your focus intensifies, your execution sharpens, your energy consolidates, your presence becomes undeniable. The modern world preaches addition. You will practice subtraction. Subtract distractions. Subtract obligations. Subtract unnecessary desires. Subtract emotional noise. Simplicity creates brutality. Brutality creates results. Tactical minimalism sharpens your edge. Say it again. I observe. I detach. I cut. I wait. I control. I own my mind. You don't need more. You need less. Executed better. You simplify. You sharpen. You dominate. Silence everything. Build yourself alone. Section 7. The rule of non-reactivity: respond, never react. What if I told you? Every time you react, you surrender the battlefield. Weak men react. Strong men respond. Reaction is emotional. Response is calculated. When you react, your opponent owns you. When you respond, you own yourself. Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." The external event is neutral. Your reaction is the problem. I observe, I detach, I cut, I wait, I control, I own my mind. Reaction is the enemy of control. Your enemy wants your reaction. They insult to pull emotion. They provoke to force mistakes. They pressure to destabilize you. The second you react, you reveal weakness. You show where you're vulnerable. You give away your frame. The rule: pause before you move. Let silence absorb the attack. Observe every move with surgical detachment. Control your breathing. Let others escalate. You remain still. Non-reactivity creates discomfort in your opponent. They expect emotional outbursts. Your calmness becomes unbearable for them. You control the energy of every interaction. In business, negotiations, conflict, he who remains still controls pace. Your opponent exposes himself while you collect data. Seneca taught, "A man who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary." Reactivity makes you suffer unnecessarily. Control delays suffering. Cold minds rule. Tactical drills for non-reactivity. When provoked, breathe deeply before speaking. Speak 50% slower than your normal pace. Practice responding with questions, not answers. Leave space after you speak. Make them fill the silence. The world respects those who do not flinch. In argument, you pause. In betrayal, you analyze. In insult, you smile. In chaos, you lead. You will no longer give them the satisfaction of your reaction. You will starve them of your energy. You will exhaust them with your calm. You will destabilize them with your silence. Say it again. I observe. I detach. I cut. I wait. I control. I own my mind. Reactivity is weakness. Non-reactivity is power. You build yourself alone. Silence everything. Build yourself alone.